Okay, so I have a set of drills that are relatively accessible. They're easy enough that anyone can perform them at home, and relatively simple enough that you can be any skill level to practice these. So you don't have to throw yourself upside down, you don't have to have a wall necessarily. We will do one exercise at the end that's on your hands, but pretty much this is the method that I used in more or less in my own practice in order to start to feel confident and strong, being on my hands, holding weight in my hands, and eventually got me the confidence to be able to go upside down. So the first two exercises are the lat lifts and the serratus lifts. I talked about this before in other videos. So basically, if you don't have the lats and you push yoga blocks or a couple sets of textbooks or whatever you can get at home, without the latissimus and you pushing those blocks, your shoulders would go up. The idea is to keep your lats engaged, and then when you push the blocks, your hips will lift. So we're gonna do this 10 times. The next exercise is significantly harder. This one are the serratus lifts. The serratus is a muscle that helps in protracting the scapula. So the latissimus depresses, the serratus protracts, and without this protraction, exercises like press-up handstands or jump backs would be absolutely impossible. So this is the muscle essentially that gets your head and your hip to start to shift position. So you'll start with a lat lift, and then imagine somebody trying to grab you from the back of the pant waistband, lift and pull up and back. So that's the imagery you can use. So we'll try that 10 times, but I probably would do it in 2 sets of 5. Okay, that was 5 with a quick Cardi B ad lib, and we'll do 5 more. Important to take a good rest. Okay, those were the serratus lifts. Next, we're going to try doing pike push-ups. So pike push-ups essentially starts to get you into a vertical position with your serratus and your pecs engaged. Try to maintain that protracted position when you start to bend your arm with your weight shifting forward. So the image is, try to think of being in a down dog position and lowering into a tripod headstand position. We're going to try to go strict. Strict means that you want to go all the way to the floor and then back up. If you can't go to the floor, I'm going to do it with a block. Go all the way to the block. Don't try to hold yourself or suspend yourself mid-air. Go all the way down, try and get full range of motion, eventually eliminate the block in doing this exercise. and we're trying to go tempo, which means going slower on the way down and going a little bit faster, more powerful on the way up. I'm going to do these probably in sets of 5 as well, because this is not an easy exercise. So we're going to start here. Make sure that you have your block in your hands at a triangle type shape so that your head is moving to the top of the triangle on your way down. Be in a little bit of a short, wide down dog. Try and shift your hips and your weight forward. Bend your arm, keep your scapula protracted, fall, and push back up. You can shift your weight back onto your feet. Slow fall, and then back up. That was 5. I'm going to rest at least a few seconds and then do another set of 5. Okay, let's go again. Get this over with. Okay, the next exercise is to do strict tempo push-ups. Regular push-ups, most people when they do push-ups, they're only doing partial range of motion. We'll try and do it strict, meaning that you're going to go all the way to the ground with your scapula fully retracted, and then all the way back to the top with your scapula protracted in a high plank position. So we'll try and do it on the tempo pace again, where you're going slow, maybe a 5 count on the way down, and then a 1, a big push, powerful movement on the way back up. If you can't get up, either from the pike push-up or the regular push-up, just work on the eccentric contraction. You'll start to build the strength and eventually be able to go in both directions. So we'll try the regular push-ups this time, but we're going strict. So you're gonna go notice that my shoulders and my head are away from the ground as I land. I'm gonna keep my shoulders back, and when I push the ground, my scapula will spread. Okay, that was 1. Thinking about retracting my scapula. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. That definitely deserves a rest. Okay, so the next one, we're going to do sliding exercises on a towel, on a floor, or a slick surface of some kind. So we're going to do sliding forward jumps, sliding jump backs. The sliding forward jumps, relatively easy. Try to think again about bracing your shoulder position, engaging your pecs and your serratus when you're jumping forward. So you might start your down dog with a little bit of retraction as you come through. try and get the protracted position. Even better, start your down dog with a protracted position and try and pull your feet through, okay? Through or to. So we'll try 5 rounds of sliding forward jumps. Okay, those are the forward jumps. Let's try and go back. So the back jump is basically like jumping in a sun salutation between Trini and Chaturanga position. So think of your head moving forward and bending your arms the same exact way that you would do your pike push-up. Think about your head moving toward the ground almost as if you were going into a tripod headstand position. As you shift your weight forward off your feet into your hands, what will start to happen as your head comes down is that your hips will want to sink and your legs will go back in space. So it's actually the leaning forward that starts to create that push-up position. So think of doing sliding push-ups as a dynamic movement between going from a pike push-up into a strict push-up negative. So we'll go here. Here go those pike push-ups to haunt you again. So head forward in front of your hands, bend your arms, try to maintain the protraction for as long as you can until you're forced to fall, but you don't want to fall on your head. So you lift your head and retract your scapula right down into that push-up negative. That was 1. It's the last one. I'm going to try and make it my best. So really what I want to make sure I'm doing is that my whole upper body pretty much is in a push-up before my leg slides back. The next part of this exercise is, of course, the progression. So what you're going to try and do is go from sliding and feeling the shift of your weight in your hands and doing a lot of slow, controlled work. And you're going to try and take that exact movement and do it a little bit quicker, a little bit more easily, a little bit more naturally, so it starts to become a pattern and a habit. So these are just basically easy jump backs standing from Trini position to Chaturanga position, or jumping from a pike into a push-up negative. So it's sort of like doing 1/2 of a burpee, something like that. So we're gonna try this 10 times. Trini position, you can go, of course, with bent legs. You're gonna jump, hit the ground with your head up, your chest on the floor and your shoulders back. 10 times. Next, we're going to try and do that exact movement, sort of a combination of the sliding push-up and the easy jump into the push-up. Now we're going to try and do that with some element of control. So for me, the main thing is the control happens at the beginning of the jump. Imagine that when you're getting ready to jump back into the push-up position or chaturanga position, many people try to do an attempt at doing like a handstand press up. Many people try, most people fail. The reason why a lot of times home practitioners or even people who go to yoga studios all the time fail is because people aren't mentioning that you have to keep your scapula depressed in order to do at least the lifting of the movement. The reason why, think of headstand. When you're going into headstand and you're trying to pike your leg forward, if your scapula elevates, when you bring your leg overhead, you're going to roll. So it's really important, if you've ever fallen in headstand, you'll start to know intuitively that you have to keep your shoulder down your back in the direction of your hip. Well, imagine holding your weight on your head. Your head does a lot of that work because structurally you're lined up, right? So if you're holding weight on your head, imagine holding that weight on your hands. So the work of the shoulder stability has to be like, I'm not a mathematician, but maybe 10 times exponentially what you were doing on your head. Your shoulder has to stay down in order for it to feel as though your shoulder is under your hip as your hip moves forward. If your scapula elevates, your hip will move forward and your shoulder will move forward as well. So I'm going to try and show you that when I jump, my attempt at jumping with control all happens in the beginning of this movement here. The hip forward, shoulder back. Hip forward, shoulder back. So you can see how that sort of looks like a hybrid of the sliding exercise and the jumping exercise that we just did. So I only have 5 of these on the list. They should be really controlled, your best effort. Of course, you're tired from doing all the other exercises before, so basically what you're going to try and do is just feel a little bit of weight shift in your hand without feeling like you're going to fall over before you actually make that jump. Or if you get lucky enough, as you start to shift your weight, your feet will just start to become light enough that they lift or slide a little bit. Don't be afraid to just completely let it go at the end of the movement. Let your belly flop, let your chaturanga position be a complete push-up negative, as long as you make sure your head is up and your shoulders are back. Don't try and hold your body off of the floor. The chaturanga isn't the strong position. The strong position is actually in that pike movement. So we'll try it again, 3 more times. Some of these get better than others. One more to go. Okay, we have 3 more exercises left. The last 3 exercises are okay. They're actually pretty difficult. So the next exercise is doing crow pose or bakasana position. And I would ask you to try and time it. I'm not going to time it because my timer is on the phone, which is taping this whole exercise routine. So what I'm going to try and do is do a maximum hold. If I can count to 60, I'm going to stop there. But if you get to 5, if you get to 10, if you get to 15 or 20, each time that you try doing isometric exercises or holds or statics, you try to increase your time little by little, 5 seconds at a time, 2 seconds at a time, until eventually you can hold to a minute. I'd say if you can get to a minute, it's pretty damn good. So I'm going to try this, of course, at the end, just like you guys will when you're already probably a bit fatigued, and we'll see how far you get. I think that was a minute. Counting to myself, so I'm not really sure if I cheated it or not, but I counted to 60. Then the next one I'm definitely going to need a rest for. So this next one is a single leg Bakasana. Don't get this confused with Ekapada Bakasana A, which is a posture in third series, where you lift one leg in the air. It's not about that. Instead, what we're going to try and do is just pull one leg over to the side. So you'll start by pulling your right leg maybe to the left leg. And I just want to show you this real fast. When you're in Bakasana position and you pull one leg and you've never done it before, chances are you're going to want to fall. So if that's what happens, allow the side of your hip to fall to the floor and try and do it as slow and controlled as possible. So that way you're doing maybe 4 or 5 times where you're falling to the side of your hip on like an asymmetrical or one-sided crow position. If you pull your leg to the side and you actually stay up, try and hold it for 5 seconds, try and hold it for 2 seconds, eventually work your way up to 30 seconds. I'm gonna give it a go now, just to get it over with. So this is a really great way to build either your Serratus strength, concentric contraction if you can hold it, eccentric contraction if you slowly fall to the ground. Okay, I count to 30. I hope that was right. I'm going to try on the other side, but I have to take a little bit of a rest first. Okay, let's go again. I'm going to dry off my hands and hit it. That was 30, I think. The second side felt a lot harder than the first side. Last exercise. After doing all of those exercises on the floor, relatively easy enough, relatively safe, not scary or risky, let's say. I would like you to try to start to put some of that strength and fatigue that you're feeling. You should be feeling some muscle tightness, some muscle soreness. Try and tap into that as you do this next and last exercise, which is 10 times single leg handstand jumps. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to go only with one leg and kick. Of course, you can use the wall. I don't have a wall right now in front of me, but the idea isn't that you necessarily go up into a full handstand. The idea is that you're just training the idea, the weight shifting, which is a very delicate shift between your feet and your hands, and you're doing that in a nice, light, controlled manner. You're not doing it where you're kicking or swinging or flying against the wall or making a dent in the wall. You're just trying to get that sense of lightness on your jump. So I'm going to do 10 times single leg handstand jumps. I'm going to do 5 on the left, 5 on the right. I'm going to start on the left because it's my difficult side. So if I do my easy side, then of course there's fatigue that sets in, and then I try and do my difficult side plus the fatigue. So I'm going to start when I'm a little bit more fresh on my hard side. Okay, so let's try. Okay, 5 single leg jumps. There's this moment where both feet are in the air and all you have is on your hands. So just by doing some quick jumping, ideally what it does is it gives you a sense of, well, a little bit of urgency and a little bit of trying to tighten up so that you feel that strength and stability and support, so that over time you're not afraid and you can actually start to go up. Let's do it on the right. Not a bad idea if you tried those maybe 2 or 3 rounds, but for me, I'm done. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope all of you are staying safe and healthy and not too bored and not feeling like you have no outlet for learning yoga. I'm going to try and stick with you guys as much as I can throughout this, so thank you.